Good morning and welcome everyone. I'm your session moderator, Raya Samit, and I have a few housekeeping items to share with you before we get started. First, we ask that you keep your microphone on mute until you need to ask a question. You can ask your questions at any time by entering them into the chat panel. We'll be saving all questions until the end of the presentation. Second, a reminder that we are recording this session. Lastly, closed captioning is available throughout the session. Today's presentation is All Hands on Deck, Building an OER Program at a Research University from the Ground Up. And your presenters today are Arlene Weissmantel, Joshua Newman, Julie Taylor, and Regina Gong. So without further ado, let me hand it to them.
Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the opening and the keynote earlier by Angela de Barger. And we would like to thank you for attending this first concurrent sessions. I know there's a lot of really awesome presentations out there. So thank you to you. I am here with my team. So Julie, if you can advance to the next slide, please. Thank you. I am here with our OER team at Michigan State University. So like Raya mentioned, our Senior Associate Dean of Scholarly Communication and Faculty Affairs, Arlene Weissmantel, is here. My name is Regina. I am the OER and Student Success Librarian at MSU, and we have Julie Taylor, our Publishing Services Coordinator, Joshua Newman, who is our Publishing Assistant and OER Editor, and last but not the least, oh my gosh, Shandley Taylor Marsick, our OER Accessibility Editor. Okay, we'll be here to talk to you about our OER program at MSU. So here's what we're going to talk about today. So as I mentioned, we're going to give you a brief overview of our OER program, our goals, the services that we offer, and our OER award program as well. And then we will talk about our OER publishing. So we published our open textbooks that our faculty has created and adapted. We'll talk about our Pressbooks.edu platform, and then our self-publishing for our OER authors, editorial work, accessibility, and finally, lessons learned. And we will make sure we have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. If you have any questions, just type them in the chat box. So this is the website for our OER program. The link is there on the left side of the screen. It really is an initiative that is geared towards our students. So in the next slide, Julie. So the OER program is now approaching its third year. I came on board at MSU, so most of you probably know me from my stint at Lansing Community College, where I led a very successful OER program. I joined MSU in 2019. And we are now approaching our third year of implementation for our OER program. So I lead the OER program at MSU full time. So really have a lot of leeway there in terms of how I manage and lead the program. We have an OER publishing team, as I mentioned earlier. We have a publishing services for print on demand. We have a copy editor. We have an accessibility staff, and we also have a student employee who helps us with some work in Pressbooks, but more importantly, our student employees, the one who designs the cover art for our OER textbooks, so our open textbooks. And if I'll send you the link later. I think it's in one of our presentations. If you look at our catalog, we are so proud of the way we have designed all those covers, and it's one of our student employee who does that. We also have an OER award program that I administer. So it's a $50,000 annual fund that we get initially from our provost's office, but beginning this academic year, it is now incorporated in our library budget. And we are also an institutional member of the Open Education Network. So the OER program goals. So as I mentioned during the keynote of Angela's, we were talking about the Q&A. Our goal is more than just reducing educational costs for our students. So more than affordability access. We really want to encourage and support the adoption, adaptation, and creation of OER and other free and low-cost materials as textbook alternative for our students. So we aim to build and provide a technical infrastructure and support for instructors in order for them to successfully implement an OER or using OER in their courses. And lastly, and this is really speaking to just transgressing, right, the boundaries of just resources into practice. So really, we want to empower our instructors to engage in new pedagogical models that leverages the affordances of OER and open education. And we'll talk more about that later. And as I've mentioned, these are the services that we offer. Finding, discovery, and curation of OER. We provide the technology and platform support, professional development opportunities, training for our faculty in all of these topics, networking opportunities across institutions. And I am happy to say that there's a lot of our faculty who are attending this summit. So, those are faculty who are using OER in their courses or have created OER. So, they're here. So I'm really happy about the support that we have garnered from them. And of course, we also provide opportunities for recognition, research, and publication that is related to OER. So as I mentioned earlier, part of what we do is OER publishing. So, and we are able to do that through our pressbooks.edu subscription. And also in partnership with the library's publishing services. So, the subscription that we have with Pressbooks is, of course, like institutional, right? And we also have, aside from unlimited books that we publish, we also have a feature that we just turned on last year, which integrates H5P exercises that are built into the open textbooks with our LMS. So in this case, we are using D2L Brightspace. Our faculty are able to use the H5P integrated or interactive quizzes to grade their students via D2L. So there's kind of like a technical setup there, but what is good is that the students who are able to answer those end of chapter quizzes are now able to reflect that into their grades versus just doing it on their own. So my colleague here, Julie, will talk more about think in our next slide, we'll talk about our open textbook publishing. This is the site that I was talking to you about. If you go to this URL, openbooks.lib.msu.edu, you are able to see the titles that we have published so far. There are 10 titles in there right now. And yes, you can see it in there. They're all CC BY, some are NC, but pretty easy for you to download in the formats that you choose. So yeah, I think it's your turn now, Julie, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Gina.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Julie Taylor. I'm the Publishing Services Coordinator at MSU Libraries. And the Publishing Services offers print on demand, publishing consultation, book design, as well as design training to the university and the community. In addition, our team provides publishing support to the OER program. Joshua provides editing and Pressbook formatting support. Chanley provides guidance on accessibility. And we also have the student employee who has designed many of our covers. And she also checks the OER for usability from an end user perspective. We are using the Pressbooks platform to author and publish OER textbooks. It's very simple to use. There's a lot of support available for it. It has a wide variety of download formats, and it can be integrated with our learning management system. And we can also download the PDFs and then print a physical copy of the textbook on demand with our printing and binding equipment that we have in the library. So we charge a small production fee. So for example, the financial management OER textbook is approximately 500 pages, and that equates to about $20 printed in black and white for students. And when that instructor originally made his textbook an OER through the Pressbooks platform, I attended his first class to demonstrate accessing the textbook online and also explaining how to order copies. And of the 45 students enrolled in the class, only about 3 or 4 wanted a physical copy. Most students preferred having the book available electronically. But we also have the self-publishing consultation for file formatting, conversion to ebooks, and some design work that we offer. And then I'll hand it over to Joshua, who can talk about our editing services.
Thank you so much, Julie. Hello, everyone. When we do approach editing, there are kind of two pieces or two perspectives from which we can approach it. And it really does depend on the type of work that is being done and also what the author really needs or wants from our services. Our developmental editing services are really a more in-depth process. We can consult with the authors to discuss things like structure, flow and voice. We talk about style conformity. So every subject area uses a kind of different set of standards when writing content on how the content should be structured and presented. There's a less involved step of editing, which is more of just like a proofreading, checking for formatting and punctuation and spelling issues. I've worked on projects where it was very technical and like science and math, and I found, some symbols that didn't quite import to Pressbooks correctly, or different words that maybe were accidentally separated. Those type of errors that would be confusing to those who are reading the book. And whenever I approach an editing project, it is from the perspective of someone who's new to the content, and I'm more easily able, from an objective perspective, to kind of catch some of those things that the authors who have been writing and looking at this project for however long it takes them, sometimes many, many months, that they might overlook or that their brains might have already started correcting automatically for them. You can go ahead and go to the next slide, Julie. Thank you. This is a flowchart that visually represents our production process for developing OERs. It is not a simple process when you're writing a textbook, but we offer all the different steps and stages that an author might need, and they are supported through the entire process by our incredibly competent staff who wants to make sure that we're producing the best quality learning material that we can. We even have introduced a style sheet. So any of the more common issues that we tend to find when we're editing projects, we have those ready and listed out. So before they even start their projects, they know what to look for, things like, how to use a hyphen versus an M dash versus an N dash. And depending on the subject area, those contexts can change as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Arlene Wisemantel, and I am going to be talking about accessibility. Accessibility is a really important value at the MSU libraries. We have requirements that ensure that students of all abilities can access our materials, and the libraries have dedicated staff to ensure that we're providing the most equitable experience possible. In these 2 slides, we have listed links so you can refer back to them later. I'm going to talk a little bit generally about OER accessibility requirements and remediation. At the introductory meeting for faculty who have received OER awards, the library's accessibility coordinator, Heidi Schroeder, provides a general overview of accessibility requirements that are outlined in our accessibility checklist, and you have the link to that. She also provides information about resources available to faculty, including staff assistance. It's really important to note that it is always easier to design materials to be accessible up front rather than remediating content after the fact. When providing Pressbooks training to faculty, Julie and Joshua also incorporate accessibility principles and assistance available to faculty. And I also want to highlight the efforts of Chandley Marsick Taylor. She devotes 25% of her time to ensuring that OER content specifically is accessible. The accessibility unit also has 2 students and another quarter-time staff member who can assist if needed. After the OER is completed, it is tested against our accessibility checklist and remediated if necessary. If a great deal of remediation is needed, we meet with the faculty member to enlist their help with this. So in general, what this means is that a text must be compatible with assistive technology. The screen reading order must logically correspond to the visual layout of the page. The text needs to allow for navigation to structural elements like chapters, pages, and headings. All images must include an alt text description of the image. Links should be both descriptive and functional. Tables need to identify column and row headers, include captions, and can consist of alt text. Transcripts must be included for all video and audio. Multimedia and interactive elements must be also compatible with alt text, and formulas must be compatible with assistive technology or have alt text. And there's a 12-point font minimum that needs to be zoomed to a minimum of 200%. So those are just some of the requirements that we have. And you can refer to these links after the presentation for more assistance, and can also always reach out with questions. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. So as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about our goals for our OER program, it's more than just affordability and access. So, we all know that affordability is probably one of the driving force why we are implementing an OER program in an institution. But I've always had this view that affordability only goes as far, right? that should not be the end goal of our OER initiative. It is very important, but we really need to leverage the affordances that OER and open education bring, not only to our educators, but more importantly to our students. Next slide, please, Julie. So I track metrics that illustrates the impact of our OER initiatives. So as you can see here, I started in summer of 2019 and began to track OER adoptions in fall 2019 semester. So you can see here, this is really taken from that ginormous spreadsheet that I maintain. So it's just a screenshot. So I track the number of courses that are using OER, the number of sections, number of instructors, and students enrolled in those courses. As far as cost savings is concerned, we use $100 multipliers. So multiply that with the number of students enrolled in a particular OER course, then you come up with that cumulative amount. So the way I am able to generate this data, is like, it's a complicated process, so to describe, right? So, but the data that I use to populate this Excel sheet comes from our registrar's office. So I am fortunate to have access to that dashboard that shows textbook adoptions that our faculty have. But of course, in our student information system, OER is not explicitly, right? It's not explicitly described in those materials, required course materials that our faculty is adopting. And so it really requires a lot of examination, cross-checking to really determine if the materials that our faculty are using are OER. So fortunately, I am familiar with a lot of what the OER materials out there. So I am able to glean and determine that yes, indeed, this course are using OER. So as you can see from where we started, we have 9 courses that are using OER in fall 2019. And, it cumulatively increases as faculty are made aware of an OER initiative that's happening on campus. And this bears out in research that faculty are more likely to use and adopt OER if they know that there is an OER initiative happening in an institution. So you have that across an academic year, 2019 to 2020, we have impacted more than 14,000 students. And I have yet to fill out the summer 2021 adoptions. I will do so in the coming weeks. But I mean, the running total is we have impacted more than 32,000 students already. So, and if you translate that into cost savings, then that's about $3 million already. Yeah, next slide, Julie, please. Thank you. And so this one is just a fall to fall and spring to spring comparison of the metrics that we are tracking. And I mean, the figures and percentages speak for themselves, right? So for fall to fall 2020, we have 122% increase in terms of number of courses, and the spring to spring 2020 to 2021, it's 145% increase. Next slide, please, Julie. Yeah, and so that is the LibGuide. So everyone, right? Every higher ed institution, libraries, almost always has a LibGuide, and it starts with a LibGuide, right? For at least for the awareness of an OER initiative. I have made this LibGuide CC BY. So if you know, and it's open for the LibGuide community to adopt, and I have received a lot of adoptions already of this LibGuide. So feel free, if you don't have a LibGuide yet, to adopt this, and the URL is there. Next slide is, the OER Award Program. So we are fortunate because we are able to not just provide our faculty with the technical infrastructure and platform for them to engage in OER, but we also have a steady and sustainable funding to help them in their OER work. So if you just, yes, this is actually an incentive program for our instructors to encourage them and to support them in the use of openly licensed materials as a pathway to student success. And in the next slide, we are going to see the categories here. So in the initial year that I started the OER program, we only have 3 categories, and that's adoption of existing OER, adaptation of multiple OER, creation and development of OER. So for adoption, we provide $1,000 per application. Adaptation is $2,500, and creation is $4,000. Now, last year, like our second year, I added 2 new categories, and that's the last 2 bullets in there. So continuous improvement, that's $3,000 per successful application. Continuous improvement is something, I mean, it's that word, it describes what it is, right? It's a way by which a faculty who has been using an OER can improve the work that they have done. So if they decided to add a whole slew of interactive components to that OER that they've created, you know, assuming it's only text-based, then that's also an application that they can submit. And then scaling up OER. So scaling up OER is a category that I thought of adding to our award program for those faculty who are using an OER in a particular course and wanting to scale that across all the sections that are using that OER. So it doesn't have to be the OER that a faculty created, for example, in Psych 101, right? It doesn't have to be that OER that they are adopting, as long as they are using an OER across all 20 courses, then that qualifies as scaling up OER. And then the next slide. So this is just to give you an idea of how much we have awarded our faculty for the first year of our OER award program. So that is for academic year 2019 to 2020. We have awarded $26,500 to I think like about, let me see, 12 faculty or 13 faculty. And the estimated number of students impacted for that academic year, right, for all the courses that will be using OER is 4,555 students. And the anticipated savings for one academic year is close to 288,000. So cannot even begin to tell you how much of a return of investment the 26,500 that we have invested to our faculty in terms of how much impact we are generating out of that. So in the next slide, I will show you our last year's round of awards. So last year we awarded $28,500 to about 10 faculty. Yeah, 10 faculty, estimated number of students impacted per academic year for those courses are 4,324. And anticipated savings is close to 363,000. Yeah, or over $363,000. So we will leave you in suspense. We cannot talk about everything that happens with our OER program because we have a few more presentations coming up during this summit. So today, in the afternoon, I hope you attend the student panel featuring the Associated Student Government of Michigan State University. So our student leaders will be in that panel. I will be moderating it, and they will be talking about student advocacy. How do you partner with libraries to advocate for OER usage across campus? And then tomorrow, we are going to talk about, today, okay. So before the student panel, we have another presentation, and this is on OER assessment. So let's hear it from our students. And really, we are going to highlight what our students are saying about our OER program. So we will have quantitative and qualitative analysis of our OER impact in terms of how it affects our students. And then, of course, the student panel. And then tomorrow, we will be talking about open pedagogy and how we are moving from resources to practice in order to convene an open pedagogy learning community. So that is it for our presentation. We'd love to hear from you. And I see there's a lot of probably questions in the chat. So yes, if you can stop sharing, Julie, I think we can just all talk.
I did my best, Regina, to answer questions in the chat. So you may want to review some of those and make sure that I am giving out the correct information.
One of them asked if you used a spreadsheet or a database to track your savings.
Spreadsheet, so Excel, just the good old Excel spreadsheet that has tabs and tabs and tabs and a lot of tabs. So yes, just Excel spreadsheet. I see Autumn. Autumn Kane. Hey, Autumn, how are you? I'm glad that you're here. And you can also, and you can also unmute yourself and, you know, show your face if you want to answer question, ask question live. You can also do that so we can see you.
Yeah, I think Joshua addressed my question, but I would love to hear you maybe expand on it a little bit more. So my question was about like kind of that intersection between the resource that's being created and the faculty development piece. So I work at University of Michigan Dearborn with Raya, and we're forming our new open education committee. It's transforming from our OER task force. And it's great because it's a partnership between library and the faculty development center, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was wondering, especially with your incentives program, and Joshua said that the like kind of formality of it is that focus on the resource itself. Mm-hmm. But I'm really interested in what you all think about, because I mean, you can't develop a resource like that and not learn something, right? Like you learn so much by doing it. And so I'm curious if you have thoughts on that.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Autumn. And I probably wouldn't answer that in its entirety because it's a preview to tomorrow's presentation. And as you know, I am a proponent of open pedagogy, open education. It's my research agenda. And I see Rajiv here, one of our faculty OER creators. Hello, Rajiv, and maybe you can chime in too. So what we really hope to do with our OER creators is that the change that we are hoping is not just in the change, you know, of using OER in their courses, but a mindset change that helps them become more open, right? And I am doing heavy air quotes here with open, because open means different things to different people, depending on your context and your level of comfort, right? So what we do, as you know, when we initially inform them of our OE, that they got an OER program, is that we let them meet, you know, now it's virtually, right? So we let them meet in a kickoff, session, where they not only learn about each other's projects, but they also learn of the support and partnership and collaboration that, you know, we hope it enables them to do. Right? So I see my role here as straddling between students and faculty. You know, faculty development surely plays, you know, a big role in that. That's why we convened the Open Educational Practices, Open Pedagogy Learning Community. And that one, the membership of that community are the faculty who have gotten the award, or faculty who may not have applied for an OER award, but are using openly licensed materials in their courses. And Rajiv, I would love you to tell the folks that in this room about your experiences, the change in your mindset as you now work, you know, with OER. Rajiv, you are not going back to
Okay.
old ways.
No, I'm not actually. Thanks to Regina and the whole OER, our MSU library friends. I mean, it's just overwhelming to see how much support we have. And thanks to Regina to draw my attention and actually hand-holded me and walked me every steps. And I'm a creator and a holder of a library OER award. And it's just wonderful because every single time I heard about OER, it's about content courses and how much money it's saving and how much, you know, stuff like the efficacy, the students are not dropping out. I wrote an abstract for Triple L conference about OER in language teaching, and that has because the interactive material that H5P is included, and that creates, because when we all went online, we wanted to have an interaction and a sense of community, which OER, with the help of H5P, students are interacting with the textbook. They're not interacting with the other student, and that sort of things help. But I'm looking for I'm trying to do a research study based on survey that what's the influence of OER textbook on their language proficiency compared to the traditional textbook. So that's something ongoing. But I also wanted to add that Regina just mentioned about how MSU Library is funding faculty, but she has also opened the door for the faculty who has funding from out elsewhere, but who are still a MSU faculty, and their team is supporting. So right now I'm supervising the Kamai textbook, and I'm also gonna bring Regina. Wait for a couple of weeks, I'll bring the Uzbek proposal. So those are the things, and I don't know, Regina, if you have a system to kind of track the cost effectiveness of those which are not being funded by library but still supported by our library in OER platform. So maybe think about also like how do we accommodate those savings and those support in our kind of shout out loud for Regina and the whole team and OER at MSU. Woohoo.
I track those.
Yo,
So
good.
the ones, yes, I do. It's like all OER that are being used at MSU, regardless of OER award funding or not.
Yeah.
So, and also Rajiv, because he had a taste of how effective OER is in his language language teaching, he is doing another OER and basic, another Hindi OER and also Urdu.
OER. So I have two projects. My personal project is Basic Urdu 1, which is like a Basic Hindi 1. And then I also got funding from other places. So Basic Urdu 1 is supported by Asian Studies Dahlia Coup grant from MSU. And Regina and the OER given me the platform, and I'm very happy and I'm doing that. And then other, I'm just heard that I also got funding for Basic Hindi 2, which is continuation of Basic Hindi 1 from India Council at MSU. So the whole community and the book that I have created is being used in, at least to my knowledge, 5 different universities and 3 community schools in across North America. And every day I get a couple of emails like, can we have the access to that book? Can you give me the link? And say, go check on Google. So that has been wonderful, experience. And I actually presented that book in a South Asia Language Teachers Association. There are like more than 200 Asian language teachers from across the North America and Canada and UK, and they all are using it because this is the first time that OER has done what? And listen to this. This has not been heard. So you hear the online material for Spanish, French, and German. Publishing companies giving lots of money because there are lots of people are buying those books, but less commonly taught languages in America was not hiring anybody who's trained. So anybody who speaks the language, let's teach the language, right? So for Hindi, Urdu, I have a PhD degree in second language acquisition. So I hope I'm trained enough to create those materials. But LICTL has been really far behind. And there's no good online textbook. There are YouTube videos, but then how much your teacher is going to use? So OER did what? It kind of assembled the material in a way that it is at one platform. Help of H5P made it interactive and accessible online from anywhere with no cost involved. So think about that and not think about how much money we can account for at MSU, but elsewhere in the world we are using, people are saving those money. So these are my chiming in. I can go on and on, but I don't want to take the whole time. So I'm going to shut up.
And really, for all of you listening, Rajiv is the poster child for a faculty that can be your champion in spreading OER around campus. He knows the talking points. He knows the benefits. And Rajiv came to me with no knowledge, or not no knowledge about OER, about OER. It's like, what is OER about? And so it's like, so it can be done.
Well,
right?
Regina, that's a great segue, because we have not one but 2 questions in the chat about how you're promoting the OER program to faculty members on campus. So could you talk a bit about how you do that outreach to people like Rajiv?
Yeah, so it's you have to do it on multi fronts. There cannot be just one strategy. So certainly, you need to utilize your liaison librarians, right? A lot of them have direct relationship with the liaison areas. That's one thing. Utilize your public relations person within the library and within the university. It's really good to have it published in, most of us have our internal newsletter or internal papers that we all can disseminate that. A lot of it are really connections, that we all have, that I have, really inviting myself to departmental meetings, to meetings where I can, have a one-on-one or group presentation with faculty. And this never stops, because you can never reach out to all of the faculty, especially in an institution as large and as big as MSU. So this is something that you have to do almost like, every day. And it's a snowball effect that you hope you would get as people and as faculty and as students and as administrators, staff learn about OER.
And I can add to that, because when first time, Regina, we had Arabic textbook, which was adopted, and Hindi was the fresh creation. But now this term I heard French instructors, they saw the book and they are interested. Swahili are doing that. I mean, there are a list of people from language community is doing that. So one good example, just I guess instigate, others to like, oh, Rajiv, if this Rajiv can do this, I can do this too, so it kind of gave a sense of like, yeah, this is something cool,
Yes. And are there any more questions, Raya, from the chat? I'm so like back reading.
Yeah, there are a couple. So one was a sort of clarification about the Scaling Up OER grant, and whether that is more of a departmental level or how that gets awarded.
Yeah, so it can be, so yes, it is departmental, but the applicants are faculty. So this is meant to encourage those faculty holdovers. Say for example, you have five faculty who are using OER, different OER in a large enrollment course. Let's say chemistry, right? Now, the other 20 sections are not using an OER. So it's meant to kind of like have this group of folks talk and agree and to use OER across all the sections of that particular course. So one candidate that I can talk about, or which is like my target this fall, are the psych. So the Psych 101. So that's the intro to psychology. 3 or 4 sections are using OER, different types of OER. My goal is to have to present to them, a buffet of OER open textbooks that they can utilize so that all of the sections are using it. And it's $5,000.
We are close to the end, so I think I want to skip to the question about, for institutions who are trying to develop a program from the ground up, what would you say are, who would you hire, types of faculty, staff to hire, minimum numbers, those kinds of practical questions to get something off the ground?
Yeah. Okay. So this is from my lived experience. And if you know me, you know my background, right? I started at LCC, it's a Lansing Community College. When I led and implemented an OER program, that was just an add-on to what I already do. So I was head of technical services and systems, and like in librarian language, that is in charge of the collections, acquisitions, cataloging, library systems. So a lot, right? And because I am really passionate about open education and how it can help our students succeed, I took on that initiative and went with it. So it doesn't have to be, but that you hire a full-time OER librarian, but that is the optimal thing. And a lot of institutions now are advertising positions for a full-time OER librarian, as appropriately so, because you cannot sustain an OER program if you do not have a dedicated person that can lead that. So that was in my former life. And as Arlene thankfully put it in the chat, it's the thing that I am doing now at MSU, where it's full-time, and I have the autonomy and control of how to implement this program. But it all depends on your context. And I know that for community colleges where resources may be stretched, you may not have that financial and institutional support to have a full-time OER librarian, but it can be done. It can be done, but with a lot of advocacy, a lot of work, a lot of support from not just your libraries, but for administrators. It's a long answer and there's still a lot more, but there's 2 days and you can email me if you need further information.
Well, unfortunately, we have come to the end of the session and run out of time. So if you didn't get to ask your question or get it answered fully, I'm sure that Regina and Julie and Joshua and Arlene would be so happy to answer your questions by email. Feel free to get in touch with them. And I want to thank all of the presenters as well as the participants for coming. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the virtual summit. Thank you all so much.